Thank you for joining us for our webinar on the student experience today. We'll get started in just a moment. We're going to give it just a few more minutes for a few other people to hop on. How come I slide in again? Hi, this is Barb Kraft with Admissions, joined here with Amy and Kim from Program Management. Thank you all for joining us. Do want to put in a plug for our reminder for our final application deadline of this season for our class that'll start this May. That is February the 5th, and if you are in process of application, encourage you to get your interview scheduled. If you haven't, give us a shout out here in admissions to get that done. So thrilled that Amy and Kim are with us here today. We realize it's a real juggle with the program that all of our students are required to work full-time, are busy career professionals. Many of our students have families, and Amy and Kim are the ones who are going to take very good care of you throughout the course of the 2 years and make sure that you are set up for success with the program by having everything that you need and being your person throughout that 2 years to support you. So with that said, I do want to ask you to please, throughout the webinar, don't hesitate to post your questions. We will get to every question that we can. And if we don't get to your question live during the webinar, we will certainly answer it after. So jumping right into program logistics. You're on, Kim.
Hey, I'm Kim Cowperthwaite, and I'm the program director here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the logistics. Starting right off, we start with orientation, and this is a 1-week course in Philadelphia. We start with both East and West Coast classes. We do it all together, and during that week, you'll meet your study team. You take part in some team building activities. One day of the program is orientation, just finding out what it means to be a student and all the things you need to know about being a student. And then classes begin that week as well. And it's a busy week full of classes. And part of being in classes will also make sure that you have all the things you need, like books, materials. Books, as part of the program, will provide those for you. And so it's just like one less thing you need to worry about, one more thing your person's going to take care of. And also materials provide. Our faculty will provide cases to read. There'll be online course materials available. We have a portal called Canvas that we post a lot of that information, and all the stuff you'll need for your classes will come through Canvas. We also provide software when the class needs it. Another thing we'll take care of is the hotel. Our program structure, so it's about every other weekend in San Francisco, so we make sure that we have hotel rooms for all required class nights, and we manage those reservations for you. Again, one less thing you need to worry about. If you're traveling from far away, you can add additional nights at your own expense at our special negotiated Wharton rate. Another thing we're taking care of is our meals. While you're on campus, we want to make sure that you have the best student experience you can have. And one of the things we'll take care of is your meals. So when you're on campus, we'll make sure that there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you. And it's all served in our dining room. And our dining room has one of the best views of San Francisco Bay. The Bay Bridge is part of the view. Additionally, there's coffee available all day to get you through, and lots of snacks just to keep you energy up, because it can be a marathon of a day. Also to help you through this is our study teams. As mentioned in the orientation part, you're assigned a team at the very start of the program, and you'll meet them for the first time during orientation week. These teams are hand selected by our admissions committee and meant to maximize on diversity and experience. When we build these teams, we strive to make sure that there's always an expert in the room, no matter what your professors will throw at you. And we'll also make sure that you have a space to meet these study teams. While you're on campus, we reserve dedicated spaces for your team to meet during your class weekends. So I'd like to turn this over to Amy to talk more about the academics of the program.
Thank you, Kim. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to focus on academic support. I'm going to start by talking about our class schedule. Our program is 24 months long, and it's made up of 6 terms. We begin in May, and 2 years later, you would graduate in May. So the first year is devoted to your required courses, which we refer to as the core. And then your second year is made up of your elective courses. The electives are determined by a vote by the class, so they really do reflect the interests of our students. And Kim and I are responsible for designing each term's calendar. So we work very closely with the faculty to do that, and we really try to maximize your time when you're here with us in San Francisco. We also will register you for your courses every term. During the first year, which are the core courses that I mentioned, you have some options. We call them our flexible core options, and we will help you through those. And then in your second year, really the world is your oyster, and you can choose which electives are most interesting to you. If you have any interest in spending time on our Philadelphia campus, that's also an option available. We allow you to take one course there if you'd like. That can be in addition to a full slate of courses here in San Francisco, or you can do a whole term over there in your second year. So Kim and I are also responsible for helping to report and collect your grades at the end of each term. We're also a resource for advising. We can help share some insights into your coursework. We can help you with some of the course decisions that I mentioned, whether it's FlexCore or electives in your second year. And we also are a resource for history of the program. One of what I think are the biggest benefits of our campus here in San Francisco is your access to faculty. Our faculty fly out from Philadelphia to spend Fridays and Saturdays with you teaching here. And what that means is when class is over, instead of rushing home, they actually stick around and they may eat their meals with our students that are served here on campus. They will stay at the same hotel where our students stay. So the access is really great for faculty and students here in San Francisco. We have some preterm programming that we will make available to you. This is to help you prepare for our program before we begin. We offer an online math course for those who may need some help sharpening their math skills. And we also will have a required math boot camp. This will be a series of webinars that will be not only a math refresher, but also tailored prep for our courses when they begin. This boot camp is taught by our Associate Director of Academic Support, who is a really amazing resource. It's actually pretty rare for an executive MBA program to have a dedicated resource like this. His name is Mike Geip, and he will be available for the boot camp and also for one-on-one support for those who may need a little bit of extra academic help. In addition to Mike, we have some other in-person resources who will be visiting our San Francisco campus, and they specialize in things like team dynamics, work-life balance, or even entrepreneurship, and they will be available for you as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kim, who's going to talk about student life.
Yeah, as part of maximizing your time here, our program is a very active student life program. Student life, part of what we do is make sure that you're encouraged. We find ways to encourage this interaction outside of a classroom. We'll do things like Friday nights we'll plan a happy hour or do offsite dinners or have a baseball game or dance parties or karaoke parties or costume parties. And we build that into our class schedule every term. So you know in advance when these big events are going to happen. And also, so if we're going to open it up to partners and families or friends or colleagues so that they can join us for some of these events. Part of this, why you're joining this program, is for the network. So we host events to bring together some of our populations, including our full-time MBA cohort. That's known as the Semester in San Francisco. You'll be invited to events along with local alumni. Our career team also plans events that include students from other nearby universities. Another great way of getting to know your classmates better is the Wharton Pub. And it's the highlight of the student experience for most of our classes. It's a dedicated bar space at the hotel, the Le Méridien Hotel, and it's affectionately known as the Wharton Pub. And this is hosted on class nights, and this is our private social space, and that's just for us, for Wharton students only. So outside of that, there are a lot of student-driven events and extracurriculars. Students often plan their own outings. Sometimes social committees form and in their classes, and these events can be simple as group dinners on the weekends or on off weekends, or elaborate as global trips. And local doesn't always mean San Francisco to our WEMBA students. It can mean wherever it's close to you. And these geographic groups form in other communities like Southern California and our Pacific Northwest, even internationally. So whether it's gathering to fly to class together or for a family barbecue on an off weekend, these student-driven events happen often and continue on into their alumni. And as a final piece of our program, we do have a graduation. We host a graduation ceremony here in San Francisco each year, and students and their friends and families join us for an intimate ceremony and reception right here in the city. There is, however, if you are interested in joining Philadelphia, there's the large commencement, so you have the opportunity to participate in the big Philly experience. So that's it. Maybe we should just open this up for some questions.
At this point, we'll just take some questions. We have some coming through. I think this one is particularly important to learn, and that is, someone is asking, what is a typical class weekend like?
Sure, I'll take that one. So our class weekends on the first day, they begin at 9:30 a.m. And that's a little bit of a later start, which allows our students to get here. So we recognize students are coming from all over, and whether it's a drive to campus or a flight, that actually allows people to get here on Friday morning, to hop on a flight at that time and be here by 9:30. And then it's a full day of classes. Most of our classes meet in 2 to 3 hour blocks. There's an hour and a half lunch, which allows us to bring in some speakers or host events and maybe club meetings, things like that. And then classes can go pretty late into the evening, so it can be a long day. And then Friday evening, students may get together at the Wharton Pub after dinner, which is served here on campus. Or sometimes our social committees will plan other activities around the city. And then students are back again the next day for another full day of classes. We do have a hard stop at 4 p.m. on Saturdays, so that gives people a chance to fly back home and be home for Saturday night.
Great, thank you. Here's another one. Someone's asking, I live locally. Can I go home on Friday nights, or do I need to stay at La Meridian?
Hey, I'll take this one. This is Kim again. We want you to know that the hotel is part of your tuition, and so this is really the opportunity for you to meet with your study groups. This is the time for you to have time to unplug and be a student. We don't check up on you if you don't stay in your bed in the hotel. That's not what we're not going to check that much. But really, this is your opportunity to be a student. We value that student experience, so that's why we make it part of the experience here, and why we've made it part of the tuition. We think it's so valuable to your experience and to develop those strong networks.
Yeah, absolutely. They're spending a lot of time and money to be part of this program. You really want to be selfish with that time and fully immerse yourself and get to know your classmates. There will be some times that you're working late into the evening, and trust me, whether you live around the corner or not, you're going to be happy to have that hotel and some rest. So another question here. We're getting, what if I miss a class? Are classes recorded, or how is that handled?
Sure. So our policy on absences is that we only accept them for medical or family emergencies. And by accepted, I mean we will record classes for those reasons only. That being said, we understand that life happens. If you need to miss a class for a reason other than that, we do have some limits on how many classes per term you can miss, but we would encourage you to rely on your study team. Kim talked a little bit about your study team earlier. They really are going to be your lifeline in that first year. And in instances where if maybe you need to miss one class at some point, you really can lean on them to help you get caught up. So that's a little bit about our attendance policy and our recording policy.
So we see a number of other questions coming in online. We are going to need to hop off here, but I promise you we will make sure that they all get answered. In the meantime, however, if you would like to chat with an admissions officer and schedule a chat, if you have some other pressing questions about your candidacy in particular or the admissions process, you can see there, you can just schedule a chat and do that right online via our website. And again, if you're applying for round 2 and our May start, we encourage you to get your interview on the calendar. You need to be have started your application and actually, or even have submitted. You should be well along the way with that at this point. And we ask that you're definitely applying this year. If you're still doing your research, I would encourage you to start with the chat and then interview in the year in which you're applying. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.